Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings.
And ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world heroes among us, and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where everyone
Rawr.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and MIDI too. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Oh, as soon as that bass kicks in, I'm
You know
ready.
what time it is. Yeah. It's already time when that bass kicks in. It's almost too late by then.
Well, we almost did a bass night tonight. We're close. It's a guitar night.
We can slow it down, and then it sounds like bass. We'll go there.
Bass is technically a guitar.
Sure.
It's in the name.
It's got strings.
But the ones that I've got tonight, this is not our normal guitar night. I've had a couple of videos. You know, we've been going so much into AI that I put some to the side that were guitar related, and I was like, oh, I really want to check these things out. So tonight we rest on the AI for a week, and it's going to be about do-it-yourself guitar primarily. You know, the ones who like to actually modify the guitar and make it do things that it didn't normally do.
Sure. That's good stuff. A lot of different things you can do with that.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of new types of guitars. You know, not the last guitar night we had, but I think 2 back, we looked at one that was like a $10,000 guitar, and it was modular. It had a touch screen, and I mean, for 10,000, it actually looked like it was worth the money.
Yeah, and that's where the modular ones, like especially ones where you can like just take the pick guard off and all the electronics just pop right out, and you slap a new one on and you're good. You don't know rewiring, no tools, just I want to sound like an SG, boom, you can slap the SG faceplate on. Or, I want to sound like a Fender, okay, boom, slap that faceplate on. That's one way to go.
And when you see some of these ideas, especially in our first one here, to the IT cave, let me show you.
There we go.
You are going to love the ideas coming out of Shark Guitars. Dweezil Zappa, he's got a YouTube channel. I was like, how the fuck did I not come across this already? And he went to NAMM and specifically to talk with this dude about what they're doing with their guitars. It's been a long time since a company actually showed the kind of innovation that you're seeing here. A lot of times guitar innovation over 40, 50 years is not huge.
Yeah, it's more incremental, small steps rather than huge leaps into something new.
Yeah, when I first saw it, my first thought was, "Oh, they're gonna show us another type of tremolo, and how do you make a whammy bar better?"
Mhm.
Yes, they did actually improve on that, but the other things that, like, I went and checked out this site just because I was really curious about what they're doing with their design. And if you
Mhm.
go to sharkguitars.com and you look at their design structure and all the different features that are completely modular.
Mhm.
This is meant to be like a system, a standard by which other guitar manufacturers, if they want to be part of this ocean design,
Mhm.
they can incorporate these same features into every guitar. I
Nice.
see this changing the guitar industry in the long term,
Mhm. I like it.
especially when you look at back. That's the back of it.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that I already like it.
The tone control that you can possibly do with
Mhm.
some of these features is gonna blow your mind.
Mhm. I love it.
So Dweezil, yeah, and you can see the excitement in his eyes when he's looking at it and like, "Oh my god,
Mhm.
I'm gonna build the freakiest guitar I can possibly build."
Mhm. Exactly, because you can, like you said, modular. You can just pick all these different options, and oh, I want this, I want that, little salad bar type of thing.
One of the things he asks him is, I want it to be both fret and fretless." And
Yes.
the builder was like laughing, like, "Okay, everything else you asked is possible."
Mhm.
That It's not that it's not possible. You need a solution, which they do actually have one.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
necks are easy to interchange.
See what I would like to see. I mean, I know it's probably not what we're going over right here, but I'd love to see a fretless where basically you can, turn a knob or something in the back that where the frets just kind of pop out. But the whole thing is it changes the intonation, it changes the whole thing about everything. So
Oh, you're gonna love this then. They're not gonna do exactly that, but they're gonna do something um, that kind of solves the thing that you're worried about there if you do fuck with the frets.
Nice.
It it is some impressive engineering design. Uh, uh, a couple of the people that we're looking at tonight, they think out of the box.
Because we know that at one point, Jocko with his bass, he just ripped the frets out of a fretted bass and covered it in with wood putty essentially. But you could see the line, so it still looked like a fretted bass from a distance, but
I I
it
fe
would play fretless. Like,
I feel like this dude probably did that as
mhm.
one experiment, and then a bunch of others to get that kind of fretless.
Mhm.
This was another a company at NAMM, because
Mhm.
some of these toys, NAMM is where like they started introducing them. And um, when I saw the title, like a Shure SM57 Killer,
Mhm.
I've heard that promise
Yeah.
forever. And when it comes to miking a guitar amp,
Mhm.
which yes, a 57 is, but where you actually put it is almost
Mhm.
like rocket science.
Exactly.
This
It
mic
changes a lot. Yeah.
this mic takes the science out of it. It's actually designed for the simplicity of putting right in front where you're not supposed to do that. But if the mic actually is designed properly,
Mhm.
you can.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the main thing is to try to get the tone that you want at a volume that's reasonable, and then have that get pushed by the sound guy or get recorded by the engineer through that microphone. So
Yeah. And they did focus more on the low end side because when miking a guitar amp like that, it's the end side where the regular 57 sometimes, depending on if you don't put them in the right place,
mhm.
don't do their job.
Sure. And 57s are one of the workhorses that we use for sure.
Yeah, well, they are the standard by which I only want something better. I will not compromise on anything less.
Nice. Good answer.
We kind of I looked at this project and this idea early on, when this guy was conceptualizing it, Mateus.
Mhm.
He wanted to have a guitar where the strings were held up by magnet.
Mhm.
Um, there's nothing in the middle there between the strings, and it's all magnetic. And the reason for that is it's a different kind of whammy.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when he said he wanted to do it, so many obstacles. It was like close, but it doesn't do what I'm looking for it to do. I think he finally hit the sweet spot.
I'm just my first thoughts about it, like from the physics side, is you need some seriously strong magnets. That's a strong magnetic field next to your body, if that's what that is.
And that's what I thought too. Like, damn, how strong are these magnets?
I mean, not that we don't have magnets that strong. It's, do we want to wear them a lot? Is the question.
Well, if you want a magnetic whammy, you might.
Oh, I'm interested for sure.
Yeah. And when it comes to like useful hardware that, especially for guitarists out there, we had a remote night. You were actually in the mountains that weekend, but we had an episode where we looked at different jamming online solutions, Sonobus, even BandLab to some extent.
Yep.
This was one of the ones, it was the only one actually that was a hardware based solution. It's not just a service for musicians to connect to. The hardware helps to deal with some of that super low latency that you need. He does a test with a drummer. So if you're going to test something like this with anybody, that's probably the trickiest situations to jam with a drummer online.
Yeah. And again, the main question comes down to like, you're hearing the drummer, you're playing in time in your mind. And then the question is, what do you hear back and what do they hear back? Because really, especially, I mean, if there's even the slightest bit, I mean, they're trying to just do 16th notes, on either side. And it really crashes fast if it's not really in sync.
That's where it starts to fall apart, depending on the style of music. If you're doing really progressive, fast stuff while you're trying to jam online, your mileage is going to vary. But if you're doing slower tempoed songs, even with half-ass connections, if you're anywhere in the 5G or faster service, even on mobile, you can almost get fast enough to jam. This box helps you get over a little bit of a hump there.
Also, another thing is you can, if two people are very, they both know the piece of music and the timing locked cold, right? So if we both start synchronized, even if we're not listening to each other, even if we're not monitoring across the connection, but we both know the song and we both know the timing and we both start at the right time and together, we could pull that off and have it seem like magic. But all the magic really is just each of us staying locked into our pocket and not listening to what was coming back.
Calibrating at the beginning. And we've tried it with a couple of solutions. Even after you've calibrated, after a couple of minutes, timing can start to float on a zoom.
For sure.
It's not as bad with like Sonobus. The softwares that are designed to just pure stream, no compression, and what you hear is not compressed and modified at all.
Oh yeah. Now, when it comes to using a hardware specific solution, it reminds me of something like the Tandberg. If you worked with those at all, as far as like a video solution where they wanted to make sure it wasn't just internet here to there. It was basically, we have our hardware, you have our hardware at this end and that end, and it's going to go through because it's dedicated at each end. The first one of those that we started working with, I want to say it was called Avastar or something like that. And this is going way back, but it was with the traders, with the equity traders that wanted to have the connection to New York City.
You do full room conferencing at a conference table and everybody can hear and see each other across multiple rooms.
Right. And back early, before that started becoming, as easy as, a bunch of people jump into Zoom and make it happen, but back in the early days, they needed to have a dedicated hardware solution for that, rather, because otherwise it would just be frames, essentially. You'd be sending a slideshow.
Well, and now you have certain standards that, like a box like this, it actually works for the jamming side. I would like to see video conferencing and other if I'm going to pay $250, which is what this goes for, it's an audio interface, and it's an audio interface designed specifically for jamming online with somebody else who's using the same solution.
Nice.
So
yeah, I'm gonna have to see how that works.
It's not perfect, but this is the start of like universal standards that online band rooms, they exist.
Oh yeah. And the question comes down to also, if you're thinking about like your situation when you first had your satellite connection where it was definitely not up to the task. Like if you tried to use this piece of hardware and it was like, okay, I got it. And like you got it, I got it. We both hook it up. I have a cable modem here and I'd be like zipping right through, no problem. You'd be hooked up with that and you'd be like,
if you can't effectively game, this isn't going to work for you. If you can't if you can't play the games
that,
without getting shot because your connection, your ping times aren't good at the games, this is more demanding than the games are when it comes to ping times.
Yep. That was the point. Yeah.
But as a hardware solution, they do manage to actually overcome some of the universal software approaches. So if you are dealing with a specialty kind of situation where you and the other person are working from the same devices, if you can actually jam with a drummer over the internet effectively, that's impressive right now.
Exactly. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. And this device might be the most impressive of, and yes, it is a Pi, and I was like, Glenn's gonna really love that. What this dude's trying to do with a Pi is crazy. My initial response when he said, like, this is what I'm gonna try to do, and this is what I'm gonna do it, was, it's not gonna work. But he has managed to do some things that I thought were impossible to do with VST plugins running in the Linux environment on an ARM processor.
Nice.
He manages to squeeze a Windows emulated VST plugin into a Linux environment so that he can make a VST stomp box.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, and from the looks of it, he manages to get like 4 loaded in different chains. So if it works, it's damn impressive considering what he put it together with.
Sure. And a lot of guitarists just have, 2 channels that they need and maybe 3, like, 2 channels and a boost in case one of them's too low and a dirty channel, whatever, if they really want to go into one song or whatever. So a lot of them don't need more than that, but having 4 is a lot of good options.
More importantly, they don't have to bring a laptop to the stage to get those awesome VST tones. I can't afford a $5,000 Marshall stack. I can load up a plugin that sounds like one.
Yeah. But if you play it through a speaker that's this big, it's not going to sound like a Marshall stack.
Well, yeah,
it'll try. It'll try.
That's why the house has to have a good system. And a box like this, you don't have to bring a laptop on stage. You get the actual things you would get from a laptop for sound processing, and you plug it into the mixing board.
Nice. I love
it. He kind of did it as an engineering project, but also as a guitar fanatic who just was like, I really would love to bring my VSTs on stage.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see, personally, I would just love to see, a guitar pedal board outfitted with a bunch of Raspberry Pis on it, like doing something, whether it's for guitar effects or not. Like it could just be for, that could be the rhythm section, that could be the drums and whatever. Like you could have something where you can kick in, have like 4 or 5 different activators and have a bunch of Raspberry Pis up on there.
And I think he did go through that phase with like the Arduinos and, the early Pis just to make a simple pedal. And then he decided a pedal. I don't want to just be a pedal maker.
Take it the next step further.
Build a solution that people might actually be looking for.
Exactly.
And speaking of, I mean, that Dweezil actually gets to that point with him. He's like, wow, you guys are actually building a better mousetrap with some of these designs that they do here.
Nice. And even just looking at it again, like seeing those, those 2 spots right there. Nice.
Yeah. I was like, when I found out Dweezil had a YouTube channel and he's covering this, I was like, okay, somebody's finally like innovating on the guitar build.
I love it.
Usually it took like a Steve Vai to get like a guitar company to build weird guitars. these guys, Shark Guitars, sharkguitars.com, they're the crazy minds behind this design. And like I said, the ocean environment is actually their goal.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of their different guitars are built with certain standards. Everything's interchangeable. And if a other guitar manufacturing company wanted to incorporate this kind of design, it's easy to implement in other guitar brands.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, good to recognize and understand that there's no one guitar that everybody's going to say, yes, that's the right tool for the job. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on how their technique, comes across. So, maybe that's the perfect guitar for you and like in your style of playing. But let's say you put that guitar in my hands and it doesn't sound the way I want it to for my style of playing. It all depends on personal
and
taste.
this is all about, they got a 3D designer. You can design your shape. You can design your options between like the tremolo. They call it a convertible. It's not one of those fancy locking ones that claims it stays in tune but still has problems. Their approach, I was like, damn, this is a better tremolo.
Nice. One of the things I always do whenever I'm trying to tune guitar, bass, whatever, is I always bend, like, get it, you tune it on the one spot wherever you want to be. And then you do a couple of nice, 2 to 3 half step bends where you get really, work it in there and then check again. And the tuning's going to be a little bit flat because you pulled it a little bit. So you keep doing that process over a couple times until it stays in after you do those bends a few times. Then if you start working with the tremolo, it's not going to be as much of a problem.
Yeah. Wait till you see how easy it is for him to work on it, with it, adjust it. This blew me away. At the Dweezil Zappa, he's the man who went and found out this information at NAMM, and I always loved him as a guitarist. I love him as a equipment reviewer like this even more.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me just the other night about, oh, did you guys go to NAMM? Because, we were there as sound guys for a band. And, oh, did you guys go to NAMM? I was like, no, I didn't get out there, but, I'd love to sometime.
Hell yes. Somebody hook me up with a ticket.
Love it.
So he says, does this change guitars forever? It's not hyperbole. I was doubtful at first when I saw the title, but him and Dweezil really convinced me on this.
Because some people would say, oh, you have to have a Strat in your arsenal, you have to have an SG in your arsenal, you have to have, like, they'll have a list of things that you have to have, and this could be, oh, you don't have this in your arsenal, oh, you need that.
Well, I like the Strat shape, but I'd rather have these options. Every option on here is state of the art, the future of guitar.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Oh, you're gonna like it.
Yes.
Are you ready for NAMM After Hours? That's right. We're here. They're closing it, but we're sticking around because we're going to check out one of the coolest things you will ever see. If you love guitars, you need to see what they are doing in Turkey. This is Shark Guitars. This thing has so many crazy features. We need to know about it. Show us as much as you can in the shortest amount of time possible.
Okay, I will do this. Thanks for being here first. I love you.
Thank you.
So, Shark Guitars, we've been doing the R&D for the last 7 years. After 5 years, we established the company, we raised the company, and we established the factory in Antalya, Turkey. And now we are doing everything in-house. What you see is unique to Shark Guitars. Everything, bridge, nut, we are doing everything in-house.
So all these designs and patents and special things, like you recently even got a new design for the frets that is another new unique patent that you guys have.
We just filed 3 days ago. This is the most crazy thing you've ever seen.
Okay, well, show us.
So I will start with the mechanics. This is the tremolo bridge, but we call that convertible bridge because it does everything. I will demo it on the real guitar. So even this feature, I bend one string, nothing happens there. So all the strings stay in tune.
Right.
So then,
for the average person, normally if you are using a regular tremolo, if you bend a string, the tension will go down like this. That means all the strings are going to go out of tune. So you have to use your ear to make it sound in tune. But this one, if you bend the string, the arm is not in motion. It's only in motion when you start using it yourself. Otherwise, it's a fixed bridge.
Definitely. And people hate tremolos because of that feature, you know.
Right.
That's side effect. I know.
Right.
So you can do crazy stuff, go up and down, anything, you know. And it has full range tuners on that. You know, if you hit that note, I'm on now E, you see that?
Yeah.
Now, watch this. I'm on F. Just watch me, and I drop tune. I'm on D now.
Yeah. So it's very accurate. You're doing minimal motions, and it's jumping almost right to pitch.
Yeah. And the thing is, other strings still stay in tune. They are slightly out of tune in the tremolo mode, but we have also this fixed mode.
Right.
Then you have a fixed bridge. That's why we call that convertible bridge. Yeah.
Right.
So we are going further. You know, this is fully adjustable. You know, we solved all the action problems, all the spacing, all the intonation problems. You can do it live, but also on the nut side.
So you can change.
Yeah. You can go up, you can go down, you can intonate the G string a little further. You know, you can do everything with anything with the nut.
That's super unique.
Yeah. And when we come back here, let's start. You know, this is the maintenance mode.
Okay.
We release the tension on that on the system. I pulled that latch, and now.
So you've taken the strings completely off the guitar.
Yeah. Why? Because we are crazy. Yeah. Why not? So this is for exchanging the necks. You can have a fretless and fretted, but mostly it's for travel.
Right.
You know, we come over here from Turkey with 6 suitcases, but 16 guitars in it without paying extra stuff. Not being afraid that our guitars get broken. You know, we have the confidence that they will arrive in regular suitcases.
But you barely had to do anything to put that back on, just so people see.
Yeah, it's like that. I come to the studio, I just push it back, and then I place that.
But here's the craziest part. Watch this. He's putting the strings back on the saddles, and then he's going to put the tension back, and check it out. It goes straight back to being in tune. That's like the most crazy magic trick I've ever seen with a guitar. It's nuts.
Wait 2 minutes and you'll be seeing that fret system, you know.
Yeah, you got to show us. I already knew you guys made crazy stuff, but this next part is like, now you have to have the skill of like a Rolex technician to be able to do your fret work.
I will leave it at for the last part.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue with the electronics. So you can make a pickup library with those modules, and you want. Of course, we provide every pickup, but you can put any brand, active, passive pickups, and without soldering, you assemble your pickup in 5 minutes, and then you put it like this. And then, oh, I'm bored out of, so you can try out of phase sound. Because we have 2 sets of rails there. So I can put it out of phase, I can put it here, you can experiment. And we have a split coil function. Now the guitar has single coils, okay? But what happens when you split it, the sound drops, yes? Not with shark guitars, because we have this compensation feature. If you put a single pickup or if you split the coils, it automatically compensates the sound level to the humbucking or even further, a little lower. That depends on you, low, mid, high, you have the compensation level over there.
That's so insane.
So you'll hear the best single sound with the compensation. You know, it's strong, lush, you know, it has all the bright, it's sparkling frequencies, but it has the power.
Yeah.
So also we have capacitor values for the tone controls over there, bridge and neck. Also we have resistor values. These are fine controls. You can set it once and forget, or you can experiment with them daily, you know.
Yeah.
And we have 3 full-featured pedals on that guitar, which you can control completely on the guitar. So you see the controls written on a distortion pedal for op-amp gain stage pedal, gain, volume boost, mode, presence, treble, mid, bass. All the controls are here. I will show you this as an example, you know, gain, volume. So in the front, it's always the same with the gain pedals. This one is the volume, this one is the gain. And if the card is here, this one is the volume.
So it's a dual concentric pot there.
Yeah.
2 different things moving separately.
And this is the boost, extra stage. And
Yeah.
this is the filter. For example, this is bass heavy, neutral, and you have a high cut or something like that.
So here's the crazy thing. For somebody that's into customizing stuff, this is already beyond most people's wildest dreams.
Yes.
But for somebody like me who likes to really customize things, I just want to know if we can go as far. This already goes as far as I could possibly imagine, but just because I see that it can be done, I feel like I want to go even further. Can we make something that goes beyond what you already have?
Ask for it.
I want to do something so crazy that I want to be able to have a guitar that has control over each string, gain, EQ, filtering. I want to have sustain for each string. I want to have panning. I want to have fretless when I want it, and like on a lever.
The last one never. But because we can exchange necks in 5 seconds, you know, you have a true fretless. But you'll be surprised very soon, you know.
You can do it.
Obviously we can.
Well, all right. Because
we love you, Dweezil, you know, I think the audience know it already. It will happen.
We need to make something super crazy for the world just to prove that it is possible. So now we should check out this last bit of the frets.
Yeah. So we applied for the patent 3 days ago. I think this is crazy, I know. This is but very easy to use, by the way. You can just pop the pedals in, whatever. But this thing will revolutionize the fretted instruments world. Not only guitars, electric bass, banjos, ukulele, whatever you can think of.
Yeah.
So we built the ultimate fretting system. So this is the fret. I intentionally got it out, you know.
Yeah.
They are all fixed, but now we supply a set like this to other guitar and fretted instrument companies, but all the Shark guitars will come with that. So you can calibrate the height action of each fret. You can go up and down on each side. What that means, first, you don't do fretwork anymore. You just place 2 adapters on each side on a channel with 2 screws, and then you pop that in. And then you have the perfect CNC machined, rounded, perfect frets. And then under string tension, this is the key. No other instrument can do that, you know. Under string tension, you put it, and then you start calibrating, touch, 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 touch. And when all the frets touch the ruler, then you have the most precise fretted instrument on the planet.
So crazy. You're a madman.
Yeah, thank you very much. I love new stuff. I want progress. I'm bored with old stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, sorry, but some of them are faulty designs. So the string shouldn't go up and down.
Well, you have proven that there are other ways to do things, and I feel like it's important that people know that this exists, because some people might say, oh my God, that's more than I can even comprehend, more than I can handle. But I appreciate all the technical skill that went into this and the thought behind it. The fact that you were able to machine the parts and get this stuff made, it's like it boggles my mind that you could do it.
It's all in-house. We have a crazy factory in Antalya, Turkey. Everyone is welcome. We can do tours. We can make custom guitars there. We have this 3D designer on sharkguitars.com. Everyone can design her signature guitar, instantly, and we'll deliver the same thing to the guitar audience, the person who designs it. The thing is, when we innovate something, we are taking care of some things, it has to be easy. That's the answer. So how do I remove the neck? I'm doing it again. So I'm pulling that bar, releasing.
Yes.
I'm pulling that latch, removing. I'm pulling that lever, done. So children do that.
Yeah.
Really, actually. I'm pressing that button, the distortion is in, out. So when we do, and second thing, it has to be a real reason to do that. You have to travel, obviously. I want a fretless guitar, but not two guitars. One guitar, two necks. You can do that,
Yeah.
So it's not only innovating, it's about healing some wounds.
Yeah, problem solving.
Yeah, problem solving. So we are continuing with our journey. We just started selling things, and I would appreciate the community if they would visit our website and if they follow us and you for the updates. You gave some teasers about that.
Yes.
So I'm very, very glad that we met, and last time when I was here, and I appreciate that you stopped by, and
well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to see that you're here doing this, because it takes a lot of effort to do all of this stuff. This is complicated, but you've actually simplified a lot of the things.
Yeah.
And it's brilliantly executed. So if you have an interest in something like this, you now need to go to Shark Guitars and make your own guitar, or at least try to get your hands on one. I'm guessing that this bridge is going to take over in a lot of areas, especially in the metal world. Probably going to see it on a lot of different manufacturers, other guitars, other players playing it. It's a very unique thing. But here's what's crazy, is it's super light too. This is not a heavy item.
Because every piece of it is titanium. So people ask, why do it everything in titanium? It's pricey, whatever. It's not true. So the thing is, you have to be precise. If you coat something, because if you do it with steel or something else, if you coat something, it's not precise anymore. So, and the color is always there. It never wears off. It's lightweight. It has the strength, toughness. Why should we deal with another material, It's the right thing to do, and we do the right thing. And you mentioned something. We are open to all guitar world, the guitar companies, and we deliver them as OEM products. So we are not, this is our stuff. We are not that.
Yeah, you're problem solving for everybody.
Yeah, we call that ocean environment. And if a guitar company or boutique shop or the luthier wants to join our community, the ocean environment, we'll supply all the technology to them. So we want to expand the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good idea. Thanks for telling us all about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Division.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You guys got to check it out. You won't see anything even close to this anywhere else. All right. Till next time.
I don't know who was smiling bigger there.
Now, that's the way you do a little demonstration, walking through its paces there, show you a little bit about it. Absolutely.
And
nice.
the genius design thought that went into it, he's really got a creative mind when it comes to building that better mousetrap. The tremolo design, one that it's really hard to make a good one, and to not only make a good one that's versatile, it can be either kind of tremolo you want, and then be able to pull the strings off like that.
I love that for sure.
Change your neck.
Yeah, change the neck, and also you don't have to keep the neck and the body under stress all the time. Like a lot of times, if you have an instrument that's going to be a wall hanger sitting there for a while, and then you grab it and go play it, it's not going to be in tune. And there's all kinds of things going on with that, because the necks are interchangeable, because it doesn't have, you can just pull the lever, pull the tension off, and then the neck can sit over there and the body can sit over there, and they can just do their own things until it's time to play again.
And when Dweezil saw how fast it went back into tune, like after doing that, that is mind blowing.
That's crazy. And individually adjustable frets. Also, people like different scale lengths, different, like I play basses that have only 19 frets. I play other basses that have 24 frets. I have 4-string basses and 5-string basses, fretted and fretless. So like there's all kinds of options that I'd love to see, exercised with all of that stuff. And I'm sure all of them are possible and available and headless. Like what I would love to see for me would be, the bass, the 5-string bass or 6-string bass, even with, the headless. So, no big headstock there, minimal size body, and then just be able to replace the neck with something else. If I want to, like, instead of a 6-string fretted, I want to go, something that's fretless and just only 4 strings, so that it can just be, as much space as possible for each string.
Yeah, and like Maha's saying, to be able to disassemble it and modify different parts like that. There's been a couple of guitars that have, kind of taken that approach, and hell, like Epiphone's the most modded guitar ever. Building it into a kind of ecosystem like this, being able to do OEM sales to other guitar manufacturers.
Machining it out of titanium. I mean, there's a lot of good things they're doing here for sure.
Well, and like he said, it's super light, considering like, I am used to like feeling some weight on those.
Oh yeah. And titanium is strong. I mean, let's face it.
Well,
that's why you build stuff out of it.
Like he mentioned, if you did go with other metals, in some cases, after you've gotten what you wanted to mold, it doesn't always hold it. The colors, everything starts to fall apart if it's not the right metal, and
temperature and everything else. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of factors, and titanium is just the better material at that point for those types of things. Sure.
I think that was a smart decision on the build.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna have to check because I want one for sure.
the pickup approach. You can use any pickup. You just gotta like kind of work it into this design.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is some people want to hand wind their own pickups, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like they want their own custom sound because they wound that pickup just exactly how they want it.
If you have a certain sound for one song and you need one, if you don't want to bring 3-4 guitars, but you got one that you can actually quickly do that between songs.
Yeah. And I know people who want to bring, 2 guitars or more because they want to do a certain song in, drop D, or they want to do a certain song in, drop the whole thing, drop down to D instead of having it tuned to E.
Did you see how ezy he dropped down?
Yes. Like being able to tune that quickly, like that's ridiculous. Yeah.
He's like, so I'm dropping down to D.
Exactly. Now that's the thing, is for me, that's a play test thing where I would have to be playing it and, put the string to a rigorous test where I'm, doing bends and then using the whammy and all that, like doing all different kinds of things while checking that. And if it does just stay like that, and, with new strings, of course, like as the strings get older, I'm assuming that they're going to gum up things as they go and make it more difficult for things to do their jobs. But that's why you make sure you change the strings frequently and you keep things working properly.
If any guitarist out there is going to really put them through a stress test, pinching and bending and fucking with that whammy, Dweezil's a perfect beta tester.
Yeah, exactly. And he's the one talking about it, and the individual frets going up and down like that. I mean, like he was saying, you would have the most perfectly, intonated guitar on the planet when you're done, because the second you finish and you start playing, like everything is perfect. And if it's, if everything's too low, you can bring it on up. If everything's a little too high, you can bring it on down. It's easy adjustments that you can do on the fly. I love that.
Using that fret solution is the ultimate fretting system.
Yep. And again, having a
don't
fretless
think
neck and just
there's
being able to swap to a fretless neck and, problem solved. I mean, and then again, you can change the intonation at the, or the string height at the nut, at the bridge, get everything back to where you want it and you're good.
yeah, it's nuts, Dweezil.
Exactly. I'd
And
love to
it's
see how
so
truss rod adjustments, how easy that is. I'm sure it's the same, level of ease where when you snap in a neck, if that neck happens to be out of adjustment itself, because the neck itself can be bent a little too much this way or too much that way. So you have to be able to,
it did seem pretty like magnetic snappy. Like this is like just snaps right in.
the snap in wouldn't be the problem to me. It's the neck itself, like the neck as a piece. It's as straight as
Working.
it is, and it's a little bit. It's either going to be bent a little bit this way or a little bit that way, and you want it to be bent a little bit relief.
Yeah.
And then once it goes under tension, it gets back towards straight. But again, that's where when you're measuring each string individually, you're checking that on each individual fret to have the exact height that you want. So that's where you're checking that to make sure it's all good. But each of those necks is going to have an individual ability to change that amount of bend.
Yeah, I could see
in
a
the truss rod.
guitarist wanting to bring that tool with them on the road, like
Yeah.
as
Usually it's just a
you-
hex wrench, so comes with the
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah, there's a cool guitar kit out there we saw for Christmas for any guitarists who need all the tools.
Nice. Probably got a string winder, a string cutter, a hex wrench for the truss rod adjustment, something, the tiny little hexes for the for adjusting the intonation, string height.
And don't forget a tuner. I like the one he was using there.
It's not a tuner.
That one looked like it was more than just an average tuner.
Having a good strobe tuner is good, or just a very accurate tuner, because that's easier than to pick up, whether it's harmonics, whether it's checking quickly to check your tuning. It's important.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Dweezil was going nuts at NAMM, so I am going to be taking a tour of. I'm going to be going to NAMM this
Nice.
year.
Take us with you.
Through Dweezil, because this kind of coverage in the guitar stuff.
Mhm.
We looked at the AI stuff and some of the gadgets that they announced, but I would love to just go hang out in the guitar room for a day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could lose yourself for a day in each of those rooms. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, we're on guitar night, and that one definitely got my guitar like motivation going.
Love
That the Dweezil Zappa, awesome to find for our channels.
Very cool.
And this one's also coming from NAMM, Recording Studio Rockstars. They got to visit, and in this particular case, it's a microphone with the claims that like you don't need your Shure 57 if you want to mic your cabinet. This could be a better solution.
Nice. And again, like you said, a lot of it comes down to the flexibility about positioning, or not having to be in exactly the right spot to get the sound that you want, or to have, look at the other side of that is it's easier to not get bad recordings because of your mic positioning.
Yeah, and they do have to modify the mic a little bit in order to get what they need it to do.
Mhm.
They modify it a little bit. They focus more on, the lower aspects, because it's for miking cabinets. So you know what you want to capture there, and that 57s do it great, but depending on where you aim them and how you aim them there, you got to like memorize the exact spot and how much distance, and
One thing I do find,
you might not need to anymore.
one thing I do find with a lot of people when they show up at a gig, guitar players in particular, they'll have their amp and there might be like a little 2 lines of tape in a certain spot on the actual amp, and like that's the corner where they want the microphone, in that corner. And it's like, okay, like that marks the spot, no problem.
A visual marker, it makes it quicker for me.
Yep. For the most part, they usually don't care. And, usually the only reason I even ask is because, in some cases somebody might have, an amp that it looks like it's a 212, but one of the speakers is blown out or whatever. I mean, and most people, they should have properly working equipment when they show up at a gig, but they also just might like the sound out of one speaker versus the other better. So if they say, oh yeah, no, mic up the left side. All right.
It doesn't hurt to ask. You can't assume that a musician's doing what you think they are.
Yep. And like you said, doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, if you ask and they're like, whatever, it's like, okay, that's fine. Whatever is a fair answer.
Well,
I can deal with that.
Recording Studio Rockstars is going to cover this potential Shure SM57 killer. and I think the company is Roswell or tied to it because they invented this on Roswell Day.
Nice. I like it.
Hey, everybody, it's Lid Shaw at NAMM 2026. I'm here at the Roswell Pro Audio booth with Matt McGlynn. How you doing, Matt?
Everybody. Hey, everybody.
Hey, so tell us about this new, very cool mic that you have here at Roswell.
Yes, so this is a mic called the Cab Mic, and as the name implies, it is designed to be used on guitar cabinet. We came out with this on Roswell Day, which is July 7th, so last July 7th. On Roswell Day, we introduced the Cab Mic, and it is a large diaphragm condenser built specifically for recording electric guitar, and it does a couple of really interesting things that make recording guitar easier.
So I see you have it right in front of the guitar cab right there.
Yeah, so we voiced the microphone to be rolled off on top. It has a very soft top end, a lot like a ribbon mic. So it's a condenser mic voiced like a ribbon. And the nice thing about that is that you can put it in exactly the spot where everyone's always told you to never, ever, ever put a microphone on your guitar cab, which is to say dead center on the dust cap.
So that makes it easy because you don't have to start sort of like guess where to put the mic on the cabinet today.
Exactly. You don't have to find the so-called sweet spot and then mark it with tape so that you remember next time. You just put it dead center, about 6 inches back, and it doesn't need to be 6. It can be 4.5. It can be 8 or 10, whatever sounds good to you. But it's voiced like a ribbon, but it doesn't have as much proximity effect as a ribbon. It doesn't have the figure of 8 pattern, right? It's a cardioid mic, so you're not going to get backsplash off of the walls that cause comb filtering. And it's just super easy to use. And we've got a bunch of high-profile artists already using the mic, like David Grissom and Tim Pierce, who you see online. Glenn Fricker online on YouTube loves it. If you look at the No Cover Charge podcast, that's Tyler Larson of Music is Win, and he interviews all these big-time guitar players, and they've got 4 of the cab mics. It's the only mic you hear on that channel.
Very cool. And I'm using it myself, Lid Shaw.
Right on.
I've got a pair of them in my studio. I'm going to be tracking dual guitars with them. So, Matt, let me see if I understand this correctly. So we just basically can take a flashlight, shine it on the grill, see where the center of the cone is,
exactly,
and then set it about approximately 6 inches out away from the grill.
That's it. And you don't need a second mic. You don't have to put a 57 or a ribbon next to it. This has the low end you'd want from the ribbon, and it's got the clarity because you're in the center of the speaker. If you watch the old Steve Albini video about how to record guitar cab, he always put a ribbon mic dead center on the dust cap because that's the point of maximum articulation. Everyone always says, oh, it's too bright there. It's not too bright there. If you put a bright mic there, then yeah, you're in trouble. But if you put a really nice mic there that's voiced with an appropriate response, then the dead center of the dust cap is a great place to record the mic because you get all of this punch, energy, impact, articulation, detail with one mic, and you're done.
Cool. And then what should people budget for this microphone? How much is
priced
it?
at $399.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and those are, we do all the assembly, testing, tuning in California, so it's not an imported mic. It's handcrafted from the best components in the world.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Matt. And if they want to go check it out, they should just go to roswell.com.
RoswellProAudio.com.
Right on. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, Lidge. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
For a specialty mic like that, that's actually a reasonable price.
And yeah, Roswell.com might have been taken.
Yeah.
Like when the internet started.
But, oh shit, I would have took that one day one.
But nothing wrong with the name for sure.
And hey, they got some big names actually enjoying it. Glenn Fricker.
Yeah.
The other Glenn. If you
That's
can
right.
convince 2 Glens, you have a great mic.
I'm not nearly as angry though. Don't worry.
And I'm kind of curious if they have other specialty mics. Because miking a cab, having a mic designed for that, smart. Like that's a certain kind of niche where if you're the go-to mic, you got a lot of customers still using cabs.
What I will say beyond that also, as far as other uses, like the guitar cab is the one to go after in my opinion, because the people who are most interested in their tone post cabinet are the guitar players. Because if you go to a keyboard player, they're almost always going to go DI. Like you're going to go DI and you're going to feed them in the monitor and they're going to be fine. Like they don't have the amp that they have to have with them to sound the right way. I don't think, like, most keyboard players aren't going to be that way.
No. I wouldn't want to be miking my speakers to get my tone at all on a keyboard.
Vocals, they're all going to just be going through the PA. So there's never going to, even if they have pedals, like, they're going to go through their pedals. You're going to still feed them, a monitor and give them whatever. I'd like to give them a clean monitor and then have them do their pedals differently, but that's fine. But a bass player, almost always going to go DI, direct to get to the board, because you want to get a nice clean signal pushed through. You don't want to be, dealing with bass coming out of a cabinet and then into a microphone to then push it in the room. Like, I prefer taking the DI from that and then having, their bass stack is back there so that the bass player has that as their,
their monitor.
As their monitor. Exactly. That's thumping through them. And, you're not going to escape that. Like, they're, you get your sound the way you want it. You get that feeling just right. And then you go from there. But so again, like, the guitar player is the one you really want to go after for the after.
It's where your majority of your audience here is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And the first thing
NAMM is the target audience right there too. That's the place to be.
Yeah, the first thing I thought when he was describing its benefits there is that this can actually save you from using more mics in some situations. Because to get that kind of cabinet in the old days, you kind of needed 2 mics in order to get different captures from the cabinet to capture what you needed. This kind of solves both those tones in one mic.
Yeah. And I'm always, as a sound guy, I'm always down for less open mics in the room is a good thing. Not that there's usually a problem with having a bunch of open mics because they're all, tamed and under control. But again, if you have multiple inputs on multiple things and you have one that malfunctions or whatever, now you got to hunt through 8 different channels to find, which one's going crazy.
And in this case, smartly designed, because it does not pick up from the back. Like, it's designed to pick up in its front, in front of a cabinet.
It's designed for its job, and that's perfect.
And he's not wrong. You can actually get a great sound in the center. It was a no-no in, traditional mic with cabinets, but now it's just plug and play. Like, just put it right where's the hole? Aim it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're swallowing up that center of the sound right where it is. And as long as it's going through the right filtration or the right EQ balancing, like, again, which they have dialed in the way it should be, because he said it himself, with the correct pattern response. Like, the microphone has to be designed a certain way, it has to be calibrated a certain way, and once it is set up that way, then it will work for what we're trying to do. And it is a specific thing we're doing with that.
That's also why I don't consider it expensive. Considering what they're doing and the modifications they're making, you're paying a little bit more than you would for your traditional solution, but that little bit more is for you're getting a cabinet mic. It's designed to be a cabinet mic.
Yeah. Yeah, I would strongly consider getting one just for, the stuff that we do, going out with bands. We're not the guitar player. We're not as worried about what the guitar player sounds like as far as the tone being exactly.
Well, do you ever have a guitar player who wants you to mic their cabinet?
We mic all the cabinets almost every time.
Oh,
like that's what we're saying is, like, we, as far as we're pushing it in the room. So if you don't mic the cabinet, you're just relying on the guitar player to fill the room. So the way we work out is, like, he always has, whenever possible, if it's a live drum kit, he's got, 8 channels for the drums at least. He's usually got, he's got the kick, he's got the snare, he's got one for each of the toms for the shells, and individual microphones on each.
That's the other place where specialty mics, those kick drum mics, take a certain kind of mic. Otherwise, if they start with the guitar cabinet focus and they actually solve some of those other tricky ones that have to be on the floor like that, you got a big market there if you can cover those.
Now, each of those also do have some good specialties. As you were saying, like, you have, drum mics for miking up the drums, because you don't just take a whole handful of 57s or 58s or whatever and throw them on the drums. Like, you have, these are the snare mics, these are the tom mics, these are the, the kick mic. Usually the snare and tom mics, it's all the same. They have the nice clips, so you can just get them right onto the shells.
Well, aren't they like shotguns in some cases? Like, they only pick up.
We use shotguns for the overheads. So like, I'll take the I'll just take 2 straight stands, like microphone stands that don't have the boom, like the boom arm like these do. And I'll just take the boom arm off, so it's now just a straight stand. And I'll put the little shotguns, like you said, on there, and put those up high and aim in at the kit, like from each side, so that we now have a well balanced. So if somebody's high on the hi-hat versus high on the crash, like you'll hear the difference between that, because this is coming through that speaker and that's coming through the other speaker, and it makes the separation much nicer for the toms. I mean, ideally the toms would be the same way, where if you get like like you should hear that going from side to side if you were wearing headphones. Not that it's going to happen at every single live gig, because you're not going to have the time to dial everything in necessarily that way. But if you had a template from the last time they played here, and after you sat for the night mixing everything, you save the template at the end of the night, the next time you can start there, make sure it all sounds right at the sound check, and then you're starting in a good place as far as having everything dialed in, panned correctly, levels correct, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, with the mics that you guys have, bands get hooked up when they get you and Mikey, because you guys actually got the equipment to cover a drum set.
Yeah, and again, we a lot of times will do a full drum set and be an 11-piece band or a 10-piece band or whatever with a full horn section. So sometimes when it comes down to the number of channels, things get tight. But we actually did just do an upgrade. So now he just got a brand new. Before we were using the 32, we were using the Studio Live stuff. We were using the Persona Studio Live. The 32R rack is what we just got. He was using a 24R and a 16R linked together to get 40 channels. Now we got the 32 in there. So just one board. It just has the extra inputs in the back there. But he's going to have it all wired the way he needs to.
It's nicer linking them together like that than going the sub mixer approach, where you're using a baby mixer to get a bunch of like line signals consolidated because you only got so many channels on the main board.
Yeah, but again, with the 24 and the 16, that gave us basically the ability to take 40 channels if we needed to. And 40 is a lot. I mean, if you have that 10 or 11 piece band and everybody is singing, which would be ridiculous, right? But if you did have everybody singing, that's 11 channels. Everybody has an instrument, that's another 11 channels. Now you're up to 20 something. And then you get to the drums where you're going to want to add 8 or 10 more. So you're getting, you're running out of channels fast. And even with 32, you could start running out of channels fast. But typically you're not going to have anywhere near 11 vocals, even if you have 11 people on stage.
Yeah, I always said 32. It's good enough for me.
32 is a good cutoff for something mobile. I mean, if you're in a studio, like you might have 80 or whatever. Like you can have a ridiculous number of channels sitting there in a studio. But
yeah, I'm thinking more like, hitting a club and having your own sound gear.
Yeah, and 32 is amazing. Like basically, I haven't even seen it yet, but he basically just got it. It was doing the burn in the last time we had a gig. We might see it this Saturday. We have a gig coming up, so we'll see if I see it or not. But it's going to fit in the same housing. So basically, everything looks the same. It's the same road case that housed that before the road case.
Yeah, and you don't really have to relearn anything, right?
No, nothing. Basically, he had to do the internal rewiring, as far as he knows how he wired everything before, but it's still the same patch plate in the front. Like he designed the whole patch bay inside of his rack mount so that he brought, for example, the outputs from one thing or rerouted to someplace else, because it's easier to have everything all in one place. So we have everything all routed to the front, let's say. Just little changes like that make a big difference.
A patch bay makes a big difference.
Exactly. Just being able, because that way you can, when you have stuff coming out the front and back, like wherever you park, it's a problem because there's no wall you can go up against or whatever. Like you run out of places to be. If everything's coming out the front, you can basically park, not necessarily against the wall, but, back up against the wall, and then everything's coming out the front. You just have to make sure you have a very sturdy foundation. You're not on a rickety coffee table.
And they squeeze you in tight on the stage. Like you get this much space to put all that shit.
They do. And actually one of the things that Mike has for the board is a really sturdy stand. It's like a T stand because it collapses down to basically a T.
I got a couple of them.
But when you break that sucker out, I would put a board on top of that. I could, put my car on top of that thing. It's solid.
I put my big giant keyboard on one of them.
Yep, exactly. And that's what it was from. I think it was a keyboard stand, like a big solid keyboard stand.
Yeah. But and I could probably hold a car on it. It is that tough.
Exactly. It is. Like I set that thing up. I'm like, damn, solid.
So at Recording Studio Rockstars, that was a cool mic you showed us there.
Yes. And I will have to check it out. Like I said, that's a good price point. It's, for the job that it does, I would consider having it just because it would make our job easier on stage and for all the gigs that we do, because without having to worry about whose guitar amp is what, we just put it in front and go.
And I actually do know a couple of guitarists who still mic their cabinets, and it's not a dying breed of guitarists. Some of them are going to stick with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to the tone. Like they're after a particular tone. A lot of guitar players, they're very particular about how their tone sounds, and they have the guitar that they want to get the tone that they have. They have the strings that they want. They have the picks that they want. I mean, they get down to that level of getting their tone just right. And when it comes to how they want to sound on stage, they don't want to just hear their sound. Okay, comes through my guitar and through my amp, but I'm just sending signal to the board. They want to send their sound, so they really want that.
Well, they really want you to hear it the way they hear it coming out of that speaker.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to give them.
Yeah. Now,
magnets.
if you could incorporate magnetism into your sound, and would it actually be useful? At first, I wondered, especially considering the obstacles he went through to first come up with the idea and then make it work. It's quite a story.
Nice. I love it.
Mateus.
I love what it looks like too.
Mateus Krantz. Yeah. And this is also you see that round one, his feature video. That was another one that we looked at one night when you were at the mountain, or you missed it, but we went through that rounded instrument.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, basically a round guitar, but
I think I remember that the round fretboard. Yeah, I think I did check that one out.
He does do some crazy experiments.
Love it.
And that's part of tonight's theme. When it comes to guitar, there's some things you can do yourself, and this is one of them.
Nice.
I'm really curious how the tuning's gonna work, but
exactly.
This guitar looks pretty normal until you notice the strings aren't attached to the body. They're pulled in tension by these extremely powerful magnets, and this gap changes everything. How you play it? Wow! What it sounds like? Why does it sound so good? And the amount of fingers left on my hands. And all of this started with me just tying a small magnet on each guitar string. This looks cool. Look at this. But when I tried playing it, it didn't even make a sound. Let's try a chord. No! Because the strings were so loose, I could literally blow them away. So how do we get a lot more tension while maintaining this gap? I think we just need some bigger magnets. And these might look small, but this is the strongest grade of magnet a human can buy. Oh, wow! And sometimes that fact came back to bite me. Ah, you. They pinch so hard. Okay, they look a lot more stable now. Let's see if I can blow them away. Okay, good. Let's try it. Huh. I mean, I hear notes, but the tension is still just too low. I can't really play it. It's like a rubber band. It feels so weird. Look at how they move. This proves the idea works, but to actually make it playable, the forces needed are way higher than I expected, because I'm forcing the magnets to work across a gap. It's basically the most inefficient way to use them, but also the coolest. So I finally did the math, and it turns out we need magnets 5 times stronger than these. Already here I can feel it's pulling. I will release it. Whoa! It broke the wood! Oh my god, These guys are getting a bit scary strong. At this point they can definitely break your finger. And if they break mine, that's on me. But if you're ever injured by someone else's negligence, you deserve to get paid. And that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. They have recovered over $30 billion for their clients and have been fighting for the people for over 35 years. There's a reason I wouldn't let my octopus guard the crabs I'm about to have for dinner, because that's not security, That's catering for my octopus. Just like there's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 1,000 lawyers and 100 offices nationwide. It's like hiring an army that's ready to fight for you to get the compensation you deserve if you end up working with them. And the best part, you can get their legal help without worrying about upfront costs, because their fee is free unless they win. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. For more information, you can go to forthepeople.com/krantz. Now, let's try that magnet on the guitar. Huh. Wow, this one really feels like a guitar string. The movement of the magnet here. Look at it. I will bend the note. Whoa! This has potential. And when you're done playing, just take your string. And you have your string. I don't know what the purpose for that is. And when you want to play again, you just... Whoa! Now all we need to do is adding more strings. And with the second string, they are more stable because they are pushing at each other. Wow, 2 magnets is actually better. But as I added a third one, I ran into a huge issue. Oh wow, it's so unstable suddenly. Oh, come on. Attempt 5. These magnets really hate being close to each other. It seems at this strength they also start fighting sideways. So I started separating the strings. More. And more. Oh, come on. Until I ended up needing a guitar neck wide like this. Oh. But that's when I realized, what if I just put all the strings on the same magnet? But with this approach, we're going to need an insanely powerful magnet. Whoa! Okay, that's a good start. It was a bit concerning they packaged this like I ordered a grenade. Doesn't look that bad. Over-exaggerations. Before putting it anywhere near the guitar, I wanted to get an idea of what kind of power I was dealing with. Wow! Oh my god, I can't slide it. What is this magic? Yeah, it's definitely powerful. And I never got the magnet off. So I had to order a new magnet. Before this sticks to something else, let's mount it on the guitar. Oh my god, this looks cool. And for the first time, the strings could sit closely without smashing into each other. But it was a bit terrifying. I mean, only 4 thin metal wires are now stopping these 2 magnets from violently colliding and exploding. Whoa! And let's not talk about accidentally getting the hand in between them. Fortunately, I won't have my hands there. For now. Because I need to tune it first. But as I did, I noticed a little issue. Wait, when I turn this tuning pin, this string changes. But I'm tuning this string. Well, it turns out if all the strings are connected to the same floating point, tuning one string changes all the others, which make this guitar basically impossible to tune. Unless I get more creative with my tuning strategy. My first idea was to tune it by changing the thicknesses of the strings. A thinner string increases the pitch, and a thicker string lowers it, without affecting the tension of the string. And with a lot of trial and error... That's not bad! Wow! This is cool. Stop, please. I'm getting nervous. Shush. I got a big improvement, but it wasn't there yet. So I designed something that allows me to tune by adjusting the length of the strings, which got me even closer. close enough that I should be able to use the normal tuners for these tiny final adjustments. And after an entire day of potentially the most frustrating thing I've ever done, I finally did it. I tuned it. It's tuned. So now, let's try it. No, 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 no. I'm instantly scared. I couldn't believe I was playing a guitar where the strings were not attached to anything. But I also couldn't believe how lame it looked. I mean, it basically looks like a regular guitar. And I don't want to sacrifice my hand for this. So I reached out to my designer Shervin, and after a lot of iterations, we came up with a design that could truly do this justice. Wow. And after a lot of 3D printing and assembling, the new body was ready. Ah. Oh shit, what was that? But the magnet's desire to stay together was again stronger than I expected. Oh no, the entire guitar is bending. Do it! No, why is it so close? Whoa! Oh no! So the final product didn't really match the sketches. It's doing some yoga, this guitar. Wow, this makes me quite worried. But after analyzing the point of failure, I came to the conclusion that plastic is weak. So I made a new version using metal instead. Taco, look at how stiff it is. Yeah, Taco approves. Now let's just put it together and pray this thing actually works. Okay, let's do this. Wow! This looks insane. Look at it. From my angle, this looks crazy. It looks fake almost. I can't believe I'm doing this. Ah! Oh. Okay, it works. I can feel the whole thing kind of wiggles back and forth with my playing. It's like jumping on a trampoline with your hand. Okay, I discovered something really cool. So if I just push on the side of the magnet, we're bending the notes. But if I instead push the magnet towards me, we push the strings closer to the pickup and we're controlling the volume. And if I instead play something and grab the magnet... Oh, I don't like those sounds. What am I doing? Okay, what am I doing right now? I should not be there with my hands. Anyway, there's so many possibilities with this magnet. Okay, let's try to actually play something here. Okay, I will just go for it. I will not be a coward. Ah. Okay, magnet, stay there. Wow. Listen to these bends. Why does it sound so good? Honestly, when you play it like this, you kind of forget that the strings are literally not touching anything here. I can't believe this guitar works. This is crazy. Oh. Okay. Relax, guitar, it's okay. Now for round 2, let's upgrade it. Because I really like the effect we get from pushing on the magnet. But it requires a lot of effort. But I made this little thing that can help us do that a lot more efficiently and safely. Okay, let's put this on. No, this is not safe. This guy has too much power. I hate magnets. Yes. Wow, that doesn't look bad at all. Look at this. Okay. Whoa. Wow, wow, wow. It's out of tune. You know what? It is in tune without this thing on the magnet. But when this thing hangs on the magnet, it changes the weight and that pulls differently in the strings. This is so... It feels so good. This is so good. It's so smooth, it's crazy. I love this. I love this thing. Huh, this is cool. So if I flick this thing, the magnet starts shaking and it creates this little effect. Without. With. That's cool. Okay, enough playing around. I want to try to play something really difficult now. You ready? It's like a loaded gun. Stay magnet. Okay, I think that's it for today. Whoa! Yeah, definitely. This day almost cost me a heart attack. But fortunately, I still got all my 10 fingers. And I'd like to keep it that way. So I'm putting this guitar aside for now. Just to be safe. Become a member to my channel if you want to see extended testing of this guitar right now. And I also have a bonus video of my piano playing octopus, Taco. And don't forget to join my Discord to see what I'm working on next.
He's got the ultimate fridge magnet.
Yes, he does. Matter of fact, I have a couple of very, very strong magnets in the house. And they are like the way they're mounted. They have like a... It's hard to describe. I'll have to find them one of these days. It's like a truncated cone, right? So like imagine a little, like a traffic cone, but with a, chopped off even lower. And the magnet is in there. Like if you put it against something like a fridge and you put it with the big side towards the fridge, the magnet's far away. So it only holds very gently, right? But if you flip it around so that the narrow side is towards the fridge, it's going to grab that because of the powerful magnet and it's very close. And the reason it's tipped that way is because now you can kind of push on and tip it one way or the other to get it to start breaking loose so that you can get some distance, because you will end up with that anvil problem.
Yeah, you never got it stuck where you couldn't unstick it.
Nope. And that's the thing is the way these mounts are designed, they can't get close enough to do that. They get close enough to they're strong. So like when you put them strong to strong, they will hold very strongly. But if you put them, strong to weak, they're fine. And they try to push apart actually, but they have, they're designed well is what my point. But that looked dangerous and fun, I will say.
He did look scared.
Loaded gun, putting it down.
with good, I mean, it's worse than a normal string snap. I mean, just a guitar string could take your eye out. That's dangerous in itself.
Exactly. A lot of times, like when I'm looking to see if, if a guitar, we're talking about the neck or the amount that the neck is, bent one way or the other. And if I'm looking at it, like you're eyeing it up, like I'm nervous about getting anywhere. Like I'm looking straight down the strings. I don't want to do that for long. So like I'll glance at it, but I make sure that I'm not near bouncing into anything, because you do not want to like tap into a wall while you got the strings lined up at your eyeballs.
You ever see somebody break a neck while playing it?
Break a neck? No, I've seen strings break plenty of times.
I seen a guitarist break a neck from playing it.
Wow. I mean, I have seen guitars go off stages. I've seen guitars, fall off stands and necks break, or headstocks.
Oh yeah,
you break a tuning peg off or whatever.
If you do it on purpose, Pete Townsend, It doesn't count.
Right. These are accidents, but yes, they have to, a lot of even like major damage like that can be repaired by the right guy. Like the right guy can, put all of it back together. They can put Humpty Dumpty back together.
Yeah, well, with these modular ones we saw earlier, you can mix and match.
Man, I want to start like experimenting with a guitar like that. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, and the people we're looking at tonight, they're engineers. They're as much that as they are musicians, because who thinks about using a magnet to hold strings in a guitar?
Now
Mateus does,
when
and
he brought
he's an engineer.
when he brought that box into the house and put it down and it started grabbing stuff off his desk, I'm like, that maybe should have been shipped in a slightly bigger box, so that stuff couldn't get quite as close, because maybe an extra 6 inches of box around every side would make it so that stuff wouldn't jump off your table when you get to your house.
Yeah, well,
they might have noticed that in the truck, like it's just sticking to the side of the van. Like, what's that package up over in the corner there?
All the metal packages are like moving across the truck.
Yeah, exactly. Got to watch that. Strong magnets are fun, but they are dangerous. I remember they had magnetic toys where it was, whether it's cubes or little magnetic spheres. I love the little spheres, like make them into different designs and things. They fit into different geometric shapes because they really want to be in certain groupings.
When I was 2 or 3 years old, I had a chalkboard that had magnetic, and the letters were magnetic, and I used to stick the letters on the chalkboard on. That was a 70s toy.
Exactly. Love magnets.
Yeah, and then they got into like stickers and action
because
figures.
they found that kids like to eat the magnets, and like, no, don't eat the magnets. Magnets are bad to eat.
It depends on what color it is.
No, they're all bad to eat. It's like not even just the black ones, not even just the brown ones, not even just the purple ones, whatever. There's no good color of magnet to eat.
We're gonna stay safe with our diets, Scotty, my nightmare brother. We're on the big screen, Glenn.
I love the big screen.
Yeah, look, Mom on TV.
Wore my flannel and everything. It is a little bit warm in here for the flannel, but that's all right. It is cold out there. We got some snow.
It's starting to here, so I'm getting the ass end, I think.
Yeah, I had the car got all iglooed in. Like when I got out there to start cleaning it off, it was up to the windows, just solid snowbank. Like, okay, one of those kind of days.
Yeah. Wind's got to chill out. Not literally, but
exactly. Well, it could have gotten really messy. I mean, I'm near New York City, and like when I was watching the storm forecast, like as it was just starting to come down and we were just starting to get a few inches of snow, I started watching the forecast, and it looked like we were right on the line between snow and wintry mix. So like they were forecasting that for us, we were going to get that first 6 inches of snow, and then it was going to turn to wintry mix, and you end up getting a way less, so that by the end it all just goes away. And basically that's not what happened. We ended up with a lot of snow, and it all drifted up all over the place.
And there's no difference here between snow and wintry mix. It's all the same.
yeah, up when you get up that far, for sure, it's just all snow.
Yeah.
Now, there's sometimes that lake effect stuff. Like I think it was Buffalo, where at one point they got just some ridiculous amount of snow, like almost 10 feet or something stupid like that. Like getting a foot or two here is one thing, but
not that long ago, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was lake effect stuff, just because it was just all focused. But that kind of thing is going to happen more often. And with things like atmospheric rivers are also another thing that happens to California a lot. Like sometimes they get just pummeled by rain because it just comes in all in a big line. It's a problem.
Scotty showing off with his flip-flops in Vegas.
Nice. I mean, it is Vegas like ish in here. Like let's see, it is 79 degrees right now. Like it gets very warm in between segments here. So I got to get that air conditioning back on.
I'd trade my cold for your warm.
And done.
At Matthias Krantz, if anybody could help me figure out how to get warmer here more efficiently, he would. His engineering brain, he's got some cool experiments.
You got some wood stove action going there, and I mean, I'm sure you can get something going with that.
If I could actually play the keyboard and feed the fire at the same time, invent it.
Nice.
And another invention that when it comes to remote jamming in particular, why I wanted to include this one, because we've tried it with Zoom. BandLab is one way of doing it, But if you really want to live jam with someone and you want to feel like you're in the same room when you're not, you might need to go with a solution like this to actually get good timing with a drummer.
Nice. And again, dedicated hardware is something where, again, you're not going into it and just, oh, hey, download whatever. It's like somebody has to actually go out, get the hardware, both ends, and, start testing from there.
Yeah, and dedicated hardware is a decision. So how much can I use it? Where can I use it? What can I connect to? Going with a hardware solution in this case may not be your best choice. You might need to work with people all over the place, in which case software solutions take care of open systems. These are specialty situations where you want that conference room in your other building to connect with this conference room here. And
Yep. You're basically, going in as a group decision. You're deciding to do this, again, it could be your band, your people you jam with, and you say, hey, let's do this as a group. Like, you get it, I get it, we go and we check it out.
Yeah. And then nobody has to get to band practice late. They just have to log in on time.
Yeah. And make sure the internet cooperates.
Yep. So at Sean Daniel 23 is going to be bringing this one to us, and he's playing around with it himself. I love that he tested it with the trickiest of situations, a drummer. If it works good there, it's much easier when you're talking singers and keyboardists and guitarists.
Exactly. Especially singers. Because, there's usually not a whole lot of, 16th note stuff going on with the stuff that I'm used to working with.
Yeah. With the singer, sometimes you will get some timing anomalies, but it's usually more the singer getting used to doing it online. The timing there is just kind of like calibrating your brain to what you're hearing.
And sometimes being a little bit ahead or a little bit behind as a singer is a style choice also. So people aren't going to automatically jump on you for being a little ahead or behind because you might have chosen to be that way.
Sometimes the singer's leading the song and sometimes the band's leading the song. And whoever needs to lead the song when you're doing it this way needs to feel like they're leading.
Exactly.
So that's Sean Daniel 23. He's going to show us this. But he says it's the most interesting new music tech, which I do think it's cool too. All these jamming solutions are. I think this one really does serve those who want to have a mic and a line signal, like a bass or a guitar with a mic. It's an audio interface.
Yeah.
But it's a special kind of audio interface designed for online jamming.
Nice.
If I had to come up with two adjectives for describing musicians, it would be punctual and reliable. That's the joke. That's the intro joke. They're the worst! I can't tell you how many bands I've dropped out of or just never started just because you can't get everybody on the same page to rehearse. Everybody wants to go play the gig, but nobody actually wants to rehearse. So today we're checking out this new product. This is called Lootfish, and it is a way to remotely jam with people that aren't in the same room. Latency has always been the thing holding back the technology, but allegedly they've fixed it. So we're gonna try this out. I wanna actually just use it with my drummer, Jack. We've been doing like a lot of live stuff together. We have some gigs coming up, and it just helps being able to just run through some stuff before he comes over here to record. But again, like over FaceTime or something like that, you just can't get it done because, it's using an app and the latency is just too much to actually play with someone in the same room. So this fixes it. The special thing about it is it uses Ethernet to plug into your actual router, okay? So you need to have that. It has a range of up to 500 miles, but I think it can actually go a little bit farther. I did a test session with a friend in Nashville, and I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and we were just doing a dual guitar jam, and it sounded fantastic. Obviously, there's no such thing as zero latency, but the latency is good enough where you can actually react and play with somebody else, which is the whole point of this, all right? So there are two inputs on the back. They are combo XLR 1/4 inch inputs. I would recommend using one of them as a microphone because it's just easier to communicate when you have a real mic in there, and then just plug your guitar, or like in Jack's case, we just had the mono out of the electronic drum kit into this one, and that's pretty much it for the back. You also have headphones on the side, and then the USB-C plug there. The headphones are 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, and then here it is, right? You got gain level for input 1, input 2, master, and then the mic right here. So again, this is really cool. It's a service. It's a web-based service. I think that's kind of the important thing to notice. Like if you look at the footage from before, that was actually a screen capture from the actual web interface where you can kind of make friends, have a network, you can find people. I just made an account, and I actually have some people who have found the account and have, offered to just jam and kind of like hang out. So there's also like a social aspect to it, which I think is really cool. So yeah, check it out. They sponsor the video. I will link you to the company in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, but like I said, works as advertised. Check it out myself. Really excited that technology is getting to the point where you can actually jam remotely. Definitely a game changer when it comes to rehearsing and playing with a band, because if you've ever tried it, somebody always screws it up. Usually it's the drummer. I am very lucky where Jack is actually the man. Jack is like the best drummer I've ever had the luxury and the pleasure of dealing with. So I'm very lucky in that regard. But you can't all have a Jack, but you can all get a Lutefish. So thank you, Dan, for sending this over. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I agree with the drummers.
Yeah.
I only had a Jack for a couple of bands.
Yep. Yeah, it's good to know Jack,
Or at least Jack's cousin who also can play the drums.
Definitely. You got to know somebody who plays the drums.
Yeah.
But yeah, that looks like it's a good solution. And again, coming back to, the actual playing, it really comes down to your individual connection and how it works for you and the people you're connecting with.
As an audio interface, because those who want to like just plug in a guitar, they don't want super complicated issues. As an audio interface that's ready to plug in like a guitar or a bass very simply, and then the second channel's good for the microphone. Yeah. I would like to see a product like that build in the microphone and video, and offer this not just as a one-on-one type of piece of hardware, offer it as a conferencing solution where for $50 more, if you actually gave me a camera and conferencing built-in mic, those two channels, I can plug in a bass and a guitar. Microphones should be built into a solution like that.
I mean, that's the thing, is it's to the point where you could even just take, if you had the ability to just take a webcam and plug it into there, like, you'd have that solution done. It's all you really need.
And you can do that with the solution now, but you've got to mix and match. So you're doing your video through Zoom while you're doing your audio through their software.
Honestly, I would almost prefer to do it kind of that way, like kind of have it broken up where if I'm doing the recording stuff, I would want to do that separate, and then and again, it is connecting directly to the router by itself. Like they mentioned that. So it's not using your computer's, the computer connection, but it is using your internet connection. So it's important to understand the difference between the bottlenecks in the two places.
Depending which solution you go with here, because Jamulus, Sonobus, they all have kind of the same approach, like a peer-to-peer setup where they have a main server. That's where everybody initially connects, but in the actual jamming process, each connection, you're only as fast as your weakest connection, but the metronome is actually synchronized for each connection through the main server, and that's probably how they're getting as close as they can with this.
Yeah. And that's one of the things where with a lot of the solutions, when they do have some kind of, you can adjust for a latency issue, a lot of times that's pushing your signal a little bit or delaying the incoming signal a little bit so that you're trying to match up a little better. But that makes the problem worse on the round trip. Like, so if you were listening to it, monitoring yourself, all of a sudden you're hearing yourself a half second behind instead of only an 1/8 of a second or whatever.
And when it comes to monitoring on like Zoom and some of those, they will actually they'll feed more packets if they have to catch up you'll actually hear things go faster and slower on Zoom as it tries to synchronize. With Sonobus or Jamulus, these online jamming ones, they keep that constant metronome. Everybody does hear the same tick.
Yeah. And that's the thing is once they get that initial start lined up, they can all stay in lockstep because they know the computer time can stay in lockstep for the kind of time frame that we're talking
The
about.
server actually compensates for your dot 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 that you're going to with the ones you're connected to, and it actually takes every one of them and recalibrates them at the server.
Nice. I like it.
That's how you get a good online recording, as long as nobody fucks up.
And when does that ever happen?
Well, I think based on Sean's advice here, we might be able to avoid that if we get to practice before the jam.
Well, the other thing is also that, with this, using it as a recording solution at home, everybody's in their own comfort zone, so to speak. Like everyone's in their own home space. So they're not out at the studio. So it does take that extra layer of intimidation, let's say, away from people using the stuff. Because some people, if they just went into a real studio, they'd be intimidated by just walking in and seeing all the stuff. And they might not play the part as well as they would have if they were just comfortable in their own room,
Yeah. As long as they don't get too comfortable.
Yeah. You don't want to hear the slurping of the Slurpee behind them when they're playing. No.
I want to hear the best performance you can do, regardless of whether you're in the room or the studio.
Exactly. And even if the magnets are about to bite your hands off.
Yeah. Magnets are always like...
They're hungry.
One snap away.
Hungry.
And for our last one, when it goes to the engineering mind to solve something, because we looked at a couple of different solution makers tonight and why they came up with those solutions and the approach that they took to actually solve them. I've been holding on this one for like the last couple of weeks because I really wanted to cover building a VST box.
Yep.
So many people, guitarists nowadays, so many of them have gotten comfortable with getting their guitar tones from Tone Forge and TH3, and it's cheaper to get a guitar sound out of one of those than it is to go get that cabinet. And the dream here is that you can get all that power of those VSTs into a nice little box that's tough as nails, go on the stage and load that stuff that you do in the studio while you're on stage.
Exactly. I think my buddy Mike, when he got his most recent, basically it was a Zoom effects box for him to use when playing guitar or playing bass. But basically it was to simulate his pedal rig, because he has a pedal rig with, the 15 pedals or whatever, 10 or 15 pedals in it. But he wanted to simulate that sound and not have to, to be able to practice in the house, but still have a similar tone. So he was able to set it up in the little Zoom box and go from there. But like I said, it's sturdy enough. It would be the kind of thing you could bring on stage, but as a performing musician who's used to having stomp boxes on stage, they wouldn't want to switch to something that small for that.
And is it going to crash? Like, is it going to crash while I'm in the middle of using it? Because software and operating systems do that, but usually a pedal, like especially those Zoom effects ones, that shit's
should be solid. Yeah.
Bulletproof.
Exactly. And that's why, for him, that was the ideal solution there. But with the ability to get that custom tone and get all of your effects, all the VSTs loaded from here, I like the approach, and I like to see how this will go as far as, again, being a more customizable solution.
What I love about what the journey he goes on to try to solve this, and it is a try to solve thing. You can't actually completely solve this. But we've seen other companies that are starting to use the IR presets, and like they don't necessarily load VST plugins, but they do load tones that are captured to sound like a Marshall stack or a PV amp. And this is just another part of that that journey.
Exactly. And the ability to use those VSTs, being able to use the IRs in small devices, like you see the really small pedals where it's like 2 dials and a big knob in the middle, and an engage and disengage switch, and that's it, like for the whole pedal.
the thing that intrigued me with this is that he chose to go with pies, and that already is an obstacle for loading something that either needs to be Windows or Mac plugins. They make them for Windows and Mac. They don't make them for Linux. All the plugins you're going to want to use have to run through an emulator in order to run on the Pi's processor. It's a RISC-based processor.
Yep.
His solution there and what he experimented with was creative as fuck, because he didn't find his solution with Wine, the Windows emulator. And the only thing you could really use to try to emulate Windows in the old days, he went with a gaming emulator for Linux that actually is super optimized when it comes to doing like Intel-based instructions on a RISC-based processor.
Nice. And I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the stuff that you would want to be, calculating and all that for what we're doing for the guitar stuff would be fine. I mean, it's not all processor heavy stuff like, a lot of the stuff that we would normally do for tracks in a DAW.
What I'm curious is if he's considered going from the Pi approach, which I understand why he did, especially initially when he first came up with this idea. It was a couple of years ago. Now with these mini PCs as small as they've gotten, you're not stuck with something that's just a Pi at that size. You can get full-blown i7s and i9s in that size.
Yeah, the form factor has gotten down there. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the cost hasn't gotten there, but if you want to just make one for you and you spend a couple of $1,000s, you could use that. If you want to make them for everybody and you want to sell them for $1,000, you might be losing money in your manufacturing.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see.
So, at Node 97 is the brains behind this idea, and if he gets this to work, because I haven't actually seen whether he did or not. It's as much a surprise to me as you. If he gets this all to work on a Pi, he's the man.
Nice. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Javier, and I would like to present you a note. This thing is a pedal I've been working on for the last 2 years, designing the electronics, the mechanic parts of it, the enclosure, all the software, and now that it's starting to sound nothing special, just raw input signal. I want to show you everything I've been doing to achieve this. This all started a few years ago. I was playing in a metal band with some friends, and once a week I remember we rented a rehearsal room in our hometown and we played some covers of our favorite bands. Over time we even started recording some of them and writing our own songs. I had no money for fancy amps or FX pedals, so I was playing just with the cheapest thing I could afford. And I think a lot of people of our generation can relate with this. We were raised like bedroom musicians, and especially when COVID struck, it was the common thing to do, no? Being just in your room, playing with your PC, plugging your bass or your guitar in a decent sound card. Around that time, I remember I started to listen to bands like Periphery. They had such great tones on their songs, I just wanted to sound the same like them. These guys, Misha or Nolly, had some videos mixing their instruments, and it was such a good inspiration. Seeing how without any expensive gear, just with some VST plugins you can have on your computer, you could achieve such great tones. That something clicked for me. I realized I didn't have to spend hundreds or thousands in great big amps. Just with some plugins on my PC, I could get far better tones than my poor 10-watt Harley Benton. At the same time, I was studying an electronics degree, and man, I think if you are into electronics and into music, it's pretty easy that the idea of building a pedal comes to your mind. Even Linux Torvalds, which doesn't play guitar as far as I know, it's building one.
If you want me to build something, I actually
This is what I built. I brought it for you.
We're getting show and tell?
This I built.
Hold on. Okay, let me try and figure it out. Hold on. Okay, it has a button. It has a dial. It has power.
Oh, it's a guitar effects pedal.
In November 2023, I finally decided to stop thinking about this idea and actually test it. At this point, I wasn't trying to build a working pedal. I was just doing a proof of concept. I started with a Raspberry Pi, not because it was ideal, but because it was familiar, cheap, and easy to experiment with. The big question was, can I actually run the same plugins I use on my PC on something like this? Most guitar plugins are VSTs, and VST plugins are usually built for Windows or macOS, running on x86 CPUs. But embedded boards like the Raspberry Pi are very different machines. They usually run Linux and they use ARM processors. Different operating systems, different CPU architecture. So out of the box, those plugins simply won't run. On Linux, there's a well-known compatibility layer called Wine. It allows Windows applications to run on Linux. That solves part of the problem, the operating system side, but it doesn't solve the CPU problem. x86 plugins still won't run on an ARM CPU. For that, you need some form of emulation or translation. There's software like Emu that can do this. It translates x86 instructions into ARM instructions. The problem is performance. For real-time audio, that approach is usually too slow. In theory, the best solution will be to recompile the plugins for ARM and Linux, but in practice, most commercial plugins are closed source. You don't have the code, you cannot rebuild them. That's when I started experimenting with something called Box64. It's mostly used for running x86 games on ARM systems. It works by translating instructions dynamically at runtime. Specifically, it performs dynamic binary translation at the instruction level with direct mapping to native system calls and host libraries, whereas Qemu primarily relies on full system emulation, which takes more CPU. And surprisingly, it worked. I actually managed to run some basic VST plugins on the Raspberry Pi, and that was a huge moment. But the latency was terrible. There were two main reasons. First, I was using an x86 compiled audio host, which meant even more CPU time spent translating instructions. I needed an open source plugin host that I could compile natively for ARM, so the CPU was only translating the plugin, nothing else. Secondly, the audio stack I was using at the time wasn't designed for real-time audio under this kind of translation. Box64 audio handling just wasn't built for low latency signal processing. And finally, despite the CPU load still being way too high, it worked. I got sound with latency I could live with. So the idea was not impossible, I just needed some optimizations and a much better foundation. That's what made me do the next prototype. Basically, I had this question. What will be my ideal pedal if I was the user? I wanted to be flexible enough to work not just with guitar, but with pretty much any instrument or signal. So I decided on a 2-channel audio input using XLR TRS combo connectors to support mono or stereo sources. On the output side, I wanted stereo jack outputs, a dedicated headphone output, and balanced XLR outputs. I also added MIPI in and MIPI out or through, an expression pedal input, and a USB-C connector. The idea with USB-C was twofold. Use the pedal as an audio interface, and potentially power it through USB if power delivery allows it. Then there was the user interface. Since the whole idea of this pedal is running plugins, I didn't want to recreate a traditional pedal full of knobs. Plugins are designed to be used on computer screen. They have complex interfaces, meters and graphs. With this in mind, I needed a color screen, relatively large, and with a touchpad of course. That's why I decided just to put 4 stump boxes in the front. I don't have them now, but I will add several encoders to the front panel of the pedal. Once I had the constraints clear, I started looking for existing open source projects related to audio hardware. One project I found was Mod Audio. They are a pedal company and a lot of their work is open source. They have, for example, the Mod Wharf, which is actually quite close to what I wanted to build, a pedal that can actually load plugins. But when it came to hardware design, my biggest inspiration was Thintian. Thintian is an open source instrument based on Raspberry Pi, running a custom Linux distribution optimized for audio. Its mainly used for synthesizers, but I thought the electronics were pretty similar to mine. It also has analog inputs and outputs and MIDI, so I used part of their designs as a starting point for my electronics. I really like Thintian, being honest. It's pretty easy to work with, because for example here you have all the audio hardware, but also if you're playing with a Raspberry, for example, which is my case, you have here the GPIO expander connector. If I'm using, for example, any other board and I want to test some GPIOs or an audio interface like IS2, you just have to connect some cables here. It's pretty easy. From there, I started working on the schematic. One of the parts that worried me the most was the high-speed interfaces. Things like USB-C with power delivery and the display interface. These buses run at very high speeds, and if you don't route them correctly, differential pairs, impedance matching, you can get signal integrity or NAMM problems. The scary part is that if something goes wrong, I don't really have the equipment to debug it, because my pseudoscope and the logic analyzer I have are kind of cheap, not fast enough for this kind of signal, so if it fails, I'm absolutely lost. I will have to redesign the board, and it will be a pain. About the mechanical part of the pedal, almost everything was revolving about the 8 inches touchscreen. You can see you have the screen and almost nothing else, some margins, and that's all, without it being too bulky, and then trying to fit the PCBs and all these kind of things inside. I used open source tools, KiCad for the electronics and FreeCAD for the mechanical design. KiCad was fine, but FreeCAD was painful. Every time I changed something in the PCB, connector position, border line, mounting holes, synchronizing that with the enclosure was a mess. Once I had the first revision ready, I 3D printed the enclosure in PLA and ordered the electronics. Every time I had to order PCBs with assembly and the main board and the encoder board and everything I needed was almost like in the 500 euros range. So yeah, that was the time where errors were getting pretty expensive. And when the board arrived, a lot of things were wrong. I miscalculated some resistor values in a power multiplexer, so power wasn't being routed correctly. While trying to fix that, I created a short and killed a compute module. At first, I thought the issue was with the UARTdebug interface, but later I realized that some resistors selecting the boot mode were incorrectly configured. That information wasn't clearly specified in the vendor documentation. Some resistors were overlapping with enclosure mounting holes. The touchscreen support wasn't rigid enough, so the screen was actually moving inside the case. At that point, the first version of the PCBs and the enclosure were basically unusable. There was not any other way around. I had to start working on Prototype 2. Prototype 2 was all about fixing mistakes, not adding new features, just making the original idea actually work. One of the first things I changed was the control section. In the first prototype, the switch encoder wasn't just strong enough to be used as a foot switch. So this time, I went with proper foot switches from a dedicated supplier and redesigned that part completely. Since the encoders were now independent, I moved them to the front of the pedal since I had some room. That decision alone meant redesigning an additional PCB and the wall enclosure. The objective was to power the pedal either from a standard DC jack or from USB-C, automatically selecting the best source at runtime. Also, the pedal should be able to provide power to the connected devices over USB. I did run into some issues here, but nothing as critical as in the previous prototype. This time, problems were solvable. Then came the touchscreen. This is a core part of the pedal. If the screen doesn't work, the whole concept falls apart. Unfortunately, the documentation from the display provider was not great. Some signals were described as optional in one place, but the driver actually expected them to be present. One example was a synchronization signal in the video interface. That single issue cost me almost a month. I ended up reading the display controller datasheet register by register and digging through the Linux driver code. But eventually, I got it to work. Finally, the most important part, audio. I had to really understand how the Linux audio stack works, how the codec driver interacts with the machine driver, how I2S signals are configured, and how everything is clocked. I ran into some issues with master-slave clocking. Some clock configurations just aren't supported on all the interfaces of the compute module, and I didn't saw that coming. Getting the ADC, DAC, and headphone amplifier to work all together took time. I finally got clean audio from my guitar into the pedal to my monitors. No plugins, no effects, nothing, just raw audio. And after 2 years, that felt huge. So at this point, the pedal does one of the most boring things, but also one of the most important. It boots, the screen works, audio goes in and out with low latency, and the assembly of the case and the electronics works fine. I'm finally at the point I wanted to get to. The hardware part was driving me a little crazy, breaking stuff, wasting hundreds of euros replacing PCBs and components, finding suppliers, waiting for the electronics production and shipping. So what's next? The first obvious step is running open source audio plugins. There's already a huge ecosystem of free and open source effects and instruments for Linux. I also want to try some amp modelers like AIDA X. And finally, like I did on my first Raspberry Pi prototype, see if I can get VST plugins running on it. But for now, I'm not going to demo any of this yet. One thing I want to be clear about is why I'm sharing all of this. I could have waited until I had a more polished demo, but it came a time that after a little bit more than 2 years working on this, I just want to know if people feel this idea appealing, if you would like to have this pedal, if it's worth for me to work on this on a more professional manner, trying to do a crowdfunding and even sell it in the future, or just to keep it as a hobby. So this video has been basically about the past, but if you're interested, feel free to subscribe, because in my next video I'm pretty sure I will try to install some open source plugins in it, and instead of having just a clean DI signal on the guitar, we will start to hear some effects in it. So if you want to keep up with the project, apart from subscribing to the channel of course, you can go down below to the description of this video, because you will see a link where there's a landing page. I get to run VST plugins on it. I do something interesting about Node, or even I do a crowdfunding or whatever, I will send you an email so you can keep more updated with the development. And I promise no spam at all. I will just send you interesting stuff. And that's all for now. Bye.
How's that for a passion project?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, years and, expensive. And at the end, it's a DI box, but proof of concept and proof of the path to where he wants to get to. I like it. I like the whole thing.
He's making the most out of his electrical engineering degree. Like,
Oh, yeah. And a peek behind the curtain at how it all comes together. Yeah.
Yeah. You get a degree like that and you build something like this, you got your money's worth.
Exactly. And again, where it goes in the next year or two with that whole arc that he's gone through so far, get over those initial hurdles, get to the point where he's getting clean signal to the, and then it is just a matter of getting the emulation down for the VSTs, which could be a big hurdle, but we'll see.
He learned where the hurdles are, and when it comes to like making a mousetrap actually better and then better and then better, once he could prove that it can work, and yes, it's not perfect on the latency yet, he's still trying to cram a circle into a square. Like the VSTs are trying to come from one architecture, and getting them to work with this hardware is the big obstacle that at some point you just fix the square and make the circle go into a circle.
Where you make a star pattern hole where they both go through just fine.
And now, after he was thinking of this in 2023. Now what you're seeing for flat screens and different types of hardware, powerful hardware in very small form factors, I would rethink the build on the CPU, the equipment. I would rethink it now because you know what you're trying to accomplish. You want to load these VSTs that are either Windows or Mac based into a box that doesn't cost more than getting an actual computer to do it.
Right. Get the low cost computer and try to get it all to do what you want from there. And again, that's what I love about it, coming back towards like the what was it, the Heath kit, like the original computers, like getting back towards like the enthusiast builder days, where they were just trying to hook together some circuits and see what they can make it do.
And that's the beauty when you are using Pis or Arduinos. He's getting a custom board designed for him now. That's awesome if you can understand how to fabricate a board and get them to actually make it. And that's where engineering power is at its most powerful with technology.
And where the rubber meets the road. I mean, what he was talking about, the sturdiness of those stomp box pedals. I mean, that's something that you don't necessarily think about when you're initially at the designing the circuit board stage and everything else. You're not thinking about somebody stepping on, putting full body weight onto a switch on your board, because it would be easy to build the thing, go through all that testing, and find out the thing is just crushes under pressure when you try to stomp on it.
You've used a stomp box. You
Yeah.
know what
It's
they
gotta
say.
be. It's gotta be built like an arcade stick. It's gotta be solid.
Like DODs back in the 90s or Boss when they took them over. They knew how to make a pedal that lasts forever.
That metal enclosure and those buttons, I mean, solid. I mean, anytime that I've used any stomp box, like, tried and true, those solid boxes like you're talking about, that's a form factor that's been used for a long time for a reason.
You have seen these new custom manufacturers making all sorts of new stomp boxes that back in my day, there was just a blue pedal for chorus and a black pedal for distortion.
The
Now-
orange distortion.
The overdrive.
Overdrive. There's the black one. Yeah.
I love that one too.
Sometimes you get that white EQ pedal in there. Get somebody who really wants to get their tone crafted.
You get that bassist that has like 19 in his strip.
Yeah. 3 rows, big, and flashing lights around the whole thing. And
I've got one of everything and
Yeah.
2 of these because
'Cause we
EQ at
like
the
'em.
beginning, EQ at the end.
Yep. And actually, was it the guitar player? One of the guitar players from the gig last weekend has it looks like a light bulb socket in his pedal board, but it's actually a spot for him to basically take a mic stand with no bass and just put the mic stand in there and send a rod through it so that it basically stays in place. But it's basically his own mic stand that he can just plug into his board.
His pedal board has a built-in mic stand.
Yeah. The idea being that the pedal board is already heavy enough and already in position and already taking up space in his spot, so that if we use a regular mic stand, that's 3 feet that are now in the way of whatever you're trying to do.
And he knows where he wants his pedals to be, and he knows where he likes his mic. And if you put it in there, boom, he's got everything right where he wants it.
Yeah, you just take the mic and go with the cable, and we're done. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you get an A+ for that slick add-on.
I like it. I make sure to point it out when I see it.
When it comes to improving your setup, your gear, and whether it's like buying the thing that does it for you, or what we saw tonight, building it, because it doesn't exist and it should.
And other people might want it. That's the other thing. Passion projects like that, it might be only him who finds that interesting, like in his circle, like as far as like the family, the friends, whatever, like they may or may not understand this passion project he's been doing for years. But when you see the results and when you're looking at the depths to which he's gone to actually go through and get working modules at each step of the way, it's impressive. And documenting the whole thing, of course, for the successes and the failures. It's not just hey, look at this magical thing that I made with no problems. We go through the steps and see what the iterations were all about.
Documenting properly is what all good scientists do.
Exactly.
When you are creating the solution, what we saw in that magnet video, and like, oh, be careful, your hands you could lose a finger.
Yeah.
The whole process and documenting it helps you to actually pick up on the things that you don't pick up on when you're in the middle of doing the soldering and all of that. Sometimes you don't see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And from the magnet video, that first time when the guitar kind of ate itself, and started like bending in half, like you didn't see that on the CAD
plastic.
design. When he's doing the CAD designs, like it looks perfect on paper. Everything was perfect. Let's get the iteration done, get it printed, get it to the house. And you don't realize that the strength of the material involved needed to be above a certain thing. And that's one of those things that you figure out in the process. I mean, a lot of people would delete that out of the video because, whatever, but this is part of it because for a reason, like we're going through the steps.
It wouldn't be justified to delete that out of the video because it's a big part of the learning process. Don't use this material because we need something sturdy.
I'm just glad that the final recap of the video did include all 10 fingers. I mean, that's always a good thing.
He did look nervous.
I would be nervous. I mean, again, I've dealt with some strong magnets before, and I would have pause dealing with that strong, a magnetic force being that close to the body. Even just, even if it's just you turn the wrong way and something snaps at the wrong time and it just pinches in the wrong spot. No good.
Well, and like he says, we use our fingers, and if I'm going to do this experiment and my fingers could be the victim.
It's a no. That's a no from me. Fingers got to stick around. All 10 fingers came in, all 10 fingers going home.
That's why I couldn't do construction as I got older, because I had a cousin who lost a part of one. He became Tony Iommi.
Yeah. I knew somebody who became Jerry Garcia. They had just lost the tip of the middle finger.
Oh, that's another one. There's certain fingers, like, don't fuck with those.
Yeah. I mean, don't fuck with any of them really, because I'd like for them all to work. But you take somebody like Django Reinhardt, was able to take the fact that he only had 2 workable fingers on his fretting hand and still was able to play amazing guitar. So you can work. I've seen people play guitar with their feet. So I mean, I know you can work around problems, but it's better to try to focus on being safe, following the safety protocols. You wear a helmet when you get on your bike. Do things that will prevent you from losing fingers when you're dealing with sharp objects and explosives and fun stuff like that.
Well, and be careful when strings are snapping, because that alone is dangerous.
It is. Yeah, those strings have a lot of tension, and the skinny ones, they are sharp.
Mad Cracker didn't. You know how you're supposed to clean your strings at the end there and clip them? He didn't do that on his guitar and went to do like this guitar move. The string went into the USB port of his laptop. Fried the laptop, electrocuted him.
Yeah.
He had burn marks, string burn marks on his hand.
Wow. I mean, all I could say is like I can only imagine that happening to Mad Cracker. As far as people that could have that happen to them, like that's the only place I could see that happening. But I mean, I'm sure he's okay. But that nobody wants to have that happen.
He fried.
And I've heard of people. I've heard of people use
Focusrite.
Fried it right up, right?
Yeah, it might have fried the guitar too. I would imagine the guitar didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen cases on stage where people have this, things wired wrong, where they have, somebody's plugged into this power, somebody's plugged into that power, and you end up with situations. I've had guitar players talk about using those wires, like you actually give people shocks. Like when he was actually, at certain points, like they're plugged in somewhere, he's plugged in somewhere else. You could shock somebody with the end of those strings, and you don't want to do that.
Be glad you're not like one of those international tour managers where like
wrong power connectors.
We gotta go do this in Europe, and all the plugs are fucked up. They will blow your shit up.
That's why you rent the equipment there.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what we do. We leave our equipment home. We go over there. We rent equipment that is comparable. And, we go there early. We try it out early, make sure everything sounds right, all that stuff.
Well, technically, if it's the same equipment with just the different plug, because
Again,
the good pro shit, they do make the European and the American versions.
yeah, sure. But there is the whole difference between, if you're using something with clean power, regulated power, dirty power, power from a generator, or power that's spiking because someone's got Christmas lights on. I mean, there's a lot of different use case scenarios where, you don't get ideal power and you're trying to get ideal results. So it's
Well,
important to have a line conditioner or something happen.
It's like being in the mountains during, the July 4th weekend when you go there and multiple bands out in the middle of nowheres. That power's got to come from some generator.
Well, actually, they have a power hookup, but they are like the end of the line as far as that goes. So they did lose power at one time.
They actually do. They did push the power lines all the way into the mountains.
Oh yeah, I mean they have a full house there, so I mean it's like a full full actual house on top of a mountain, but like they also have the 50 acres or hundreds of acres, whatever it is, around it. So it's a huge piece of property, and they have a bunch of different buildings and all that. But the stage itself just has simple power breakers in the back. Lost power the one year, so we were able to do it with 2 generators. Like they have like little 4 quads, 4x4s. So they're able to go get a generator, bring it over. But then the question was, you have to be able to split it up because you got a full stage you need to run again with the guitar amplifier, the bass
have you looked at some of these sun generators? They've got these like zero gas generators now that are worth their cost. Like you mix the gas powered generators with the solar ones, you can actually get all the power for half the cost.
A lot of it comes down to the battery at this point, where it used to be it was just generator, and if you needed the power, you needed the power. They really didn't have a good battery solution, but it has come to the point now where you can just get like a brick like the size of a generator that is just a battery that'll run everything for 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah,
Easily.
these solar generators, it's the battery you're actually paying for. The generator, they'll give you a free solar panel happily. Here, the battery is where the bulk of the expense is.
We're gonna have to have another tech night where we start talking about
power
battery stuff.
night.
Power night,
More
because
power.
I've been seeing things about solid state batteries, and there's these new the bikes, the motorcycles. Was it the Verge maybe? I can't remember exactly, but there's a new motorcycle that has a design that relies on these solid state batteries, and if they do half of what they seem like they can do, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Verge is the name on that one. We were talking about it because in Indonesia, Maeve, I was looking at like, we need a second bike for the family.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is it's all bikes. Yeah.
And with these ones, I mean, if you're wanting to cut the cord on gas costs, and it's all about like what you're using it for, you can get off the gas grid.
Yeah, and again, this comes down to if this is solid state batteries, and if it does deliver in the specs that I've seen what it's supposed to do, it's going to be crazy, because that is basically a weak point that we've been trying to get past. Is with batteries.
How long will they last? How long can they last?
I mean, this is supposed to be hundreds of thousands, I mean, millions, whatever cycles, just ridiculous amounts of, because again, it's not, there's no liquid electrolyte inside that's going to go and overheat and have thermal runaway. So you don't have to worry about that. It's solid state. So it's literally just, there's no moving parts in there that you have to worry about. The cooling isn't as much of an issue. There's a lot of reasons why everything sounds really good. But again, from an engineering standpoint, is it too good to be true is the question.
Isn't it funny that a battery in itself is a lot like a CPU or a computer, and it's like the cooling and how you actually deal with it, they both have the same kind of obstacles and longevity.
Yeah. Well, with chip design, I mean, everything started getting down to, making things smaller and smaller and smaller until they started running into actual physical limitations, where if you go smaller than this, now signals are getting across the gap, or there's cross heating, or there's all kinds of things that happen when you start getting too small.
And in some cases, there's no one ring to rule them all. One CPU is not enough. Cores are not enough. You need a GPU, you need a CPU, you need these APUs now.
They also come up with new architecture and new ways of doing things where, if they come up to a physical limit where, okay, we can't send more down this pipe. Well, now you have to figure out a way to line up more pipes next to each other and send it all together, that kind of thing.
We need to go from a 4-lane to an 8-lane highway. And then a 16, and then a 32.
And then you start stacking them on top of each other. That's the way to go.
shit, we're gonna have a lot of cars.
Now, when I do a 3-lane change and I'm going from this lane 3 lanes down and 3 lanes over, that's going to be fun with flying cars. That's why you can't just have flying cars where everyone is just free to pilot around wherever you want to go, because people will be making lane changes everywhere.
And speaking of, in the last month, I have seen some pretty big announcements about flying cars.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to having the network to run it, excuse me, kind of like air traffic, where you have to have that kind of a network, that level of control over individual vehicles, because you can't just have people
right
free
now
to drive around, because you'll crash into people's houses.
The FAA is like, no flying cars for anybody. Fuck that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've seen what happened even with recreational vehicles, being able to fly around. Like, you can get a little test chopper or plane to go fly around on your own just to have fun with. You know?
If they're going to be any now, they're going to be commercially driven and controlled some way that the FAA knows this is not in the way of that. And it won't be the average person who goes and gets their license at 16 who all of a sudden gets to jump in a flying car.
No, you can go get your pilot's license at 16 or whatever and go jump in a plane, but that's because you're going through the training and doing all the steps and everything.
You still need to prove that you're worthy.
Exactly. And even there, there are still crashes. I mean, these things happen. But yes, we cannot have just individuals flying around. It's like, no, I've seen some people on the roads. We cannot hand you the keys to a flying something and have you fly into someone's living room. Like, that's a no.
Yeah, I saw one that was designed for getting around traffic. So if you were stuck in like gridlock and you just needed to hop over the traffic, it hovers up and then you drive over the traffic. You get to the place where there is no traffic and you drop back down.
Yeah.
And
now find me the place where there is no traffic, because I mean, you get a couple of those cars on the road, fine. You get half of those cars on the road, now half of the traffic jam picks up and goes to try to find and land in that one spot. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The whole thing, it sounds great on paper until you start actually trying to put it in a New Jersey traffic jam, and you're just not having that.
Well, and how would you feel if some dude goes flying above you, like, and you're sitting there in the fucking traffic and you fucking rich bastard.
I mean, technically there are those jet suits right now, so somebody could be doing that whole thing. I mean, I saw it on the $6 Million Man way back when, it's probably worth at least 7 million now. Who knows?
If they can get those jet suits down in price, I might try one.
Yeah. And again, there's got to be rules around it, because I mean, technically, again, anything under a certain altitude is unregulated in terms of you can just kind of fly up and fly down and test certain things out, like the Wright brothers. But you can't be going across.
Did you see that Paris, France demo they did like 5-6 years ago? They had like the Paris's version of the 4th of July, and they showed a flying man who. I saw one with Iron Man. It was kind of like Iron Man, except he was floating on a disc.
Well, I saw a couple different ones, actually. I've seen one where it's a couple. One where it's water being shot out the bottom, where you're attached to a jet ski by like a 50-foot hose or whatever it is, and it's basically just redirecting the output from the back of a jet ski to a skateboard, or to a board that's under your feet, and sending 2 jets straight down. And it's so much force going through at such a speed that it actually causes you to levitate, so you can float above the water and kind of fly around. But you're tethered to a jet ski. So.
You can actually do on a vacation for like $50 to $75. You get to do it like for half hour.
Now they also do have actual like a jet pack where it's sending a propellant straight down so that you can fly, and that's a much more complicated thing. But there's also one now where the guy actually has, it's basically a mini jet fighter where he's wearing, it looks like I don't know, 12-15 foot wide wings. It's like wings on his back, where it is an actual kind of like a surfboard.
See, but that seems so clunky. If I'm trying to fly like that, I don't know if I want all that baggage.
But the 2 jet engines that are on it are basically the size of like paint cans, and like mounted in the wings, and like I think they run on kerosene, and like all the fuel's on board. But he was able to fly like a jet, like around Mount Fuji or whatever. Like he's able to fly like an actual jet with this thing, and it was pretty crazy to see. That also I think might have been around that same time with the floaty, flying around with the water jet skis, and also flying with those rocket jet packs.
Boy, every army has tried to figure out how to make their men fly.
Yeah, I mean, being able to go from here and land safely over there, that's great. But on any of the ones that we would be trying to do, like most part, you're bringing a lot of flammable material with you. And if you're talking about military stuff, you're trying to go insert somewhere where you're not welcome, and trying to land with like explosives in a place where you're not welcome is a bad idea, because you're going to get shot and exploded before you get there.
Yeah, and the flammable, and I don't want to be having to fly around in something flammable if I can avoid it.
And that's when we get back to those solid state batteries, because those Verge motorcycles, if those batteries happen to do what they say they can do, that opens all kinds of possibilities into electric flight, where you don't have the explosive material on board. You have the batteries that
like
don't have carry away.
You get like drone wings.
Yeah. And that's the question is, let's see where that goes, because that could be pretty cool.
Then I will set up a drone night coming soon to a Thursday near you.
Tune in and you'll find it right here on Talkin Shhh.
I've been wanting to go down the drone rabbit hole. I just needed an excuse. So if I can't buy one, we can at least cover them.
We will check it out. You might even have to see what's in that box over there and see what that looks like.
Oh, you got one?
I don't know. We'll see what's in the box.
If you got one and you go to the mountains next year, I swear to God.
Well, you'll see. When we see what's in the box, we'll see what's up.
Tune in next week. We'll see you in the box.
Sounds good.
Night, everyone.
Take care.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking We're talking